It's Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. The long-term winter outlook, when there is a better chance of bigger snows in the Northeast, including parts of D.C. We're looking at New York, Boston, and what we're seeing in the Atlantic region of Canada with the surge of moisture and a better chance of nor'easters. Now, in the short term, we're seeing a little shot of cold that's moving across the Great Lakes, where we're going to see some lake effect snows. This cold is really going to surge down to the south, back toward Florida, the Bahamas, not as much working across. The winds are going to flatten out a little bit. Of course, anytime you get a front moving by this time of year, we know we are going to get a little bit colder, but the winds will turn a little bit more out of the east as we work our way, or rather west as we work our way down the road. Not as much true out of the north as we work our way back through New England. Now, what can we expect as we go forward? So let's go short term and then longer term. This right here, the 7-day temperature outlook, and you can see exactly what I was just talking about. There's a front moving in, but that surge of colder than average temperatures really moves down through the mid-Atlantic, DC, Baltimore, even Philly, south, colder than average, all the way down through Florida, while much of New England, and then swinging back toward the Atlantic region of Canada, we get back toward Prince Edward Island, over toward New Brunswick, swinging back through Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, above average temperatures, and considerably so with that deep red shading in place, and it's going to be active. But what that means is, since we're warmer than average through the Atlantic region of Canada, and it's going to be active, we're looking at a better chance of rain versus snow. Now let's get a look at that 7-day precipitation outlook, be it rain or snow, and you can see once again through New England, back through the mid-Atlantic, that brown shading, drier than average. So I don't expect anything significant over the next several days as far as any big snow is concerned. Without a doubt, there's just not a lot of moisture to play with. We'll get into that ahead. But the moisture is back in the Atlantic region of Canada. These greens and these blues in here, shorter term, we're going to continue with that active pattern. So it hasn't been really sliding through New England. It's been off toward the east, Maritimes and to the east. That's where the moisture has been. That's where we'll see some bigger systems. Now here's where it changes and where it gets really interesting for the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic. Looking longer term, your 46-day precipitation outlook. There's not as much brown through here. You see some greens mixed in. So New England, for example, we're looking at about average as far as precipitation is concerned. And then this may be catching your attention south of the Cape and the Islands, back near the Mid-Atlantic, above average rain back into this sector of the Atlantic. What the models are doing, the longer term models, they're picking up on the possibility, bigger possibility, of systems riding up the East Coast, potential nor'easters. So as we get longer term into winter, New England and the Mid-Atlantic, a higher chance of nor'easters. You could see why. The precipitation outlook, it is on the increase for sure, especially in the waters of the Atlantic. Now, as we look at what we could expect extending out, as we get toward the Atlantic region of Canada, the same thing, the same beat goes on, still above average precipitation, be it rain, be it snow. You see the blues and the greens. So long term, it stays active in the Atlantic region of Canada. We got you covered watching that. Now, the temperature outlook. Well, this is going to be a big player with potential snow. As I mentioned, we get back to normal, at least normal, if not above average, with the precipitation in, say, parts of New England. With that, we're going to see some colder than average temperatures. That could lend itself to snow. You get the precipitation, you get the cold, that makes sense. Atlantic region of Canada still warmer than average long term, but not quite as warm. That backs off a little bit. That means we'll see more of these systems providing snow. But you see back through New England into the mid-Atlantic, where we're going to see average or above average rainfall or snowfall, we're also going to be colder. So that'll lend itself to more snowfall. So that's why I mentioned down the road, we're trending a little bit wetter, and you could see here the blues, New England and the Mid-Atlantic, even back through the Great Lakes, we're trending colder. Those two things lend itself to more significant snows as we get deeper into winter. Now, short term, we're watching exactly what I just showed you. The moisture really building back. This is tomorrow through the Atlantic region of Canada. You see a front diving down, but it's not really going to develop into a nor'easter. Matt and I were talking about that in the previous videos. Most of the action offshore New England will get scraped by some rain and snow, no doubt, but that is really going to work its way up toward the Atlantic region of Canada. And because we're above average again with the temperatures, look at Newfoundland, for example, Avalon Peninsula, we're seeing rain, not snow. And that is going that's showing exactly what I was just saying with the above average temps and the increased precipitation. And it's going to continue. See here, this is Friday. Backside, we could get a little bit of that snow mixing in. The lake effect snow still cranking up. Watching that carefully. That spillover into New York coming off of Lake Ontario. Watching out for that. But then once again, missing New England and lifting up toward the Atlantic region of Canada. More rain on the way. This here is by Sunday. We may get some snow showers, a little bit of rain watching over toward Maine. But New Brunswick, a mix of snow and rain. But generally that rain, once again, as we work our way into Sunday, yet again another system, exactly what I was just showing you in the short term and even longer term. It is going to stay active as we work our way into the Atlantic region of Canada. So that's where, at least over the next 7 days, some of the snow will be, but not as much southern sections as you work your way back from the Maritimes, parts of New England, all the way back toward Newfoundland. The higher totals are going to be inland on the backside of this, north side of this. That's where we'll have some of the higher totals, because again, those temperatures, they are running above average. And you see, as we work our way over the next 7 days, much of New England, generally snow-free. We may get brushed by a couple of snow showers with these systems rolling up toward the Maritimes. Just on the backside, we may get a little bit of snow kind of mixing in. This here, keeping an eye on Syracuse, points off toward the north and building back toward Buffalo for that possibility of some lake effect snow. And as I mentioned, on the north side, Montreal, back toward Quebec, watching out for some additional snow. That's where it's going to be a little bit more active, not as much along the I-95 corridor and even back toward the Maritimes. That's mainly rain as that works in. And you can see generally a quieter pattern as well as we work our way out west as we go over the next 7 days. So we have a lot to track as we go forward, and Matt and I are going to update these long-term forecasts for you. So if you're subscribed, you'll get those notifications for some new updates, new videos. Short-term, warmer than average. Longer-term, trending colder. The Atlantic region of Canada, it stays on the wet side. Late winter, though, we're going to trend a little bit wetter in the northeast, and that with the colder weather, that will lend itself to a better chance of northeast snows and a better chance of nor'easters riding up the east coast of the U.S. So it's only going to get busier as we go forward. Matt and I got you covered right here on Snow Bros. Have a good rest of your day.